Welcome to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, the home for financial advice in a language you can understand. Created by Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial, he and his team of certified financial planner professionals will discuss timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. And now, get ready for this week's edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial. My name is Marc Freedman.
And I'm Marion Gilman.
And we're here to provide you with some financial advice in a language you can understand. So we've got something interesting going on this week. Next week, after you see this, I'm going to be heading off to Orlando. I've been invited to speak at a conference to about 500 financial advisors.
Is it at Disney?
It's not at Disney, but it's on.
Oh, too bad.
It's
Mark's
near
a
Disney.
huge Disney fan.
It's near Disney property, so I don't know if we'll make it to Disney, but it doesn't really matter. Of these advisors that are all going are at a stage in their life where they've built a nice small business, but they really want to take it to the next level. They want to grow their business. And so the topic of my presentation is about how to build deeper relationships with clients. And the conversation is going to be a bit provocative because I know a lot of these advisors. You and I have seen a lot of these advisors, and we learn about how different people have businesses and run their businesses.
And you know, being around for 25 years, for me, and longer for you, you get to know what's going on.
You do, and it just surprises us so many times when we go to these conferences and we listen to advisors either make presentations or talk about their business or what they do. And one of the things that we learn is, for the most part, they're simply the investment guy.
Is that how you think of your financial advisor, as the investment guy?
Or do you think of your financial advisor as your financial planner? And so that's the story that I'm going to be sharing with them, is to try to help them understand that if they want to grow their business, if you will, to the next level, to be the advisor where, like in our office, where we've had a retention rate of 99% for the past 20 years. How can they do something like that? So Marion, I thought we'd kind of take this opportunity to explain what is it that a financial planner does, what we do specifically, versus what you oftentimes see another financial advisor who's really just the investment guy do.
Yeah, so it's very different. The whole basis of what we do with clients is how we build the relationship with them. And it's not a relationship saying, okay, you have $500,000. This money, needs to grow for a couple of years, then you're going to retire and live off of it. So here's how we're going to invest the money. In all honesty, that is a very minor discussion in the scheme of things. It is much more important and valuable to everyone if you consider the goals of the client, who that client is, what their personality is, what they want to achieve for the rest of their lives. Remember, money is a tool. It's not the be-all, end-all. And I know so many people who focus on a number. I have to have this much money. I have to grow it to this amount of money. Step back and think about this. It is a tool to allow you to do what you want to do. And it's very important for any advisor to find out what that individual client wants the money to do for them, what their lifestyle is, what their goals are, and what their aspirations are for their family, their money, whatever.
And one of the things that we've learned over the years is that, we've all been trained to talk about goals, objectives, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. What I've learned, and I know that we've learned, is that what clients say and what is reality are generally two different things. So let's start with spending. Okay, let's use that as the most obvious one, because most advisors, or maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer and you choose to use one of the online financial planning websites that tries to say, am I on track for retirement? And one of the questions that they ask is, what do you intend on spending in retirement? Or what do you spend now on a month-to-month or annual basis? And if you get that number wrong, everything else in your plan has been blown up.
Absolutely. That's the critical factor. And how many people actually know that?
Yeah, and when I ask advisors, How many people ask the question, so what do you plan to spend in retirement? What do you think you'll spend? And the client gives the number, and that advisor just generally types that into the financial planning software, and they said, well, that's what you told me. Yet they're wrong. Because what we've learned is we ask the question, we do, and then we say we need to validate it. And we validate it by gathering 6 to 12 months of your bank statements. Now, I'm not looking at the little line items and everything in there of how you spend.
We don't care what you spend.
We
your money
really
on.
don't. Totally up to you. But what do we do care about?
We care about what that number is. And you know, I think a lot of people will go in and when we say to them, what do you spend a month? They think, well, my gas bill is this, and my electric bill and my mortgage, and they detail those little things. And they'll say to you, okay, well, we spend $5,000 a month. And yet they're making $200,000 a year, and there's no money saved. So that can't possibly be the case, right?
Right. And I always love when people say, well, we spend $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, whatever the number is, doesn't matter.
No.
And I say, well, have you calculated in vacations in that? Oh, well, that's separate.
Yeah.
Or what about, your property taxes?
Right.
Right?
Home repairs is a
Home
big,
repairs.
well, it's a one-time thing.
Yeah, well, that was the year we had the driveway done. Well, you
Right.
don't think you're going to have one-time costs? So
Every year.
So we go through these bank statements and we look at what's the amount that comes into the household versus what goes out of the household. And we come up with an average. And generally what we have found is that clients are off when they take a guess of what they spend versus what they really spend, they're off by 40%. And
That's a big number.
It's huge. And think about how that would disrupt your financial plan. Now, how do we validate that year after year after year after year? Well, if we know where everything is and what everything is worth, and that's what we're doing as the financial planner, we're gathering statements, bank statements, investment statements, insurance statements, tax returns, pay stubs, tax returns, etc.
A lot of stuff.
We bring all that stuff in year after year. If your bank account has shrunk over the course of the year, despite the fact that you made the same amount of money, we got something wrong. It means you've been spending more than you usually do. Or if your bank account has gone up, maybe you're spending less than we thought. But time and time again, we find that people's bank accounts are relatively smooth if we do the work right up front. And that is one of those items that is just so critical to making sure that you have a financial planning relationship rather than an investment relationship.
Because we can track all of this. We track it over the years. That gives us better insight into what's going on within your financial life. And we can answer your questions better in terms of, can I afford this? Can I afford to do that? That gives us a lot of insight into how you spend and what your ongoing needs are going to be. And that's a key.
It is. And it goes back to the term of fiduciary. Everybody loves to throw that word around. Many people come into the office and they ask, Marion, are you a fiduciary?
And yes, we absolutely are fiduciaries.
And I think pretty much every financial advisor you'll meet on the street will tell you, yep, I'm a fiduciary.
Right.
Do you just let it sit there? What does fiduciary mean?
Right. Well, we need to put the client's interests first. So we want to be sure we are doing the right thing for the client. And that's an incredibly important component of being a fiduciary. That's not always the way all advisors work.
So think about this. Well, most people will, I shouldn't say most, many people will go to a financial professional and they'll say, hey, I just got laid off from my job. I've got an IRA, I've got a 401k that's $500,000. Can you help me roll it over into an investment?
Right.
And sure, the financial advisor will offer up some education and explain to you what the rules are regarding rollovers, what the risks are, what the benefits are, all of that stuff. They will do that. And they might even ask, well, what's the goal for the money? Well, I want the money to be there when I retire. Great. Right. How much risk do you want to take? And they might talk about, well, I don't mind taking much risk, whatever the heck that means.
Exactly.
Has the financial advisor acted as a fiduciary? In my opinion, well, what's your opinion?
No, absolutely not.
I would say that the financial advisor acted in trying to build a suitable collection of questions to understand a strategy for that unique investment. But that's not being a fiduciary.
No.
A fiduciary wants to know where everything is and what everything is worth before ever investing that money. Now, that may be the only money that the financial advisor gets to invest, but if the financial advisor doesn't know how that money impacts everything else in their financial life, how can they place the interest of a client first?
Suitable is not necessarily putting the client's interest first. There are a lot of investments that are suitable for somebody, and you can make the case that they are suitable, but it might not be the best solution for a particular client. For instance, I mean, a lot of advisors use annuities. Annuities can be wonderful for certain cases. On the other hand, if you are going to need a chunk of money and something is tied up in an annuity, that money might not be accessible to you. And if the advisor hasn't done the research and gotten the knowledge of who the client is, that client's money might be tied up when they need it.
Yeah, it's critically important, and that's why we pride ourselves in all being certified financial planners here in the office, and placing the interest first. I mean, that's really what it is.
Absolutely.
So, the question that I'm going to ask the group in Orlando is, if I were to ask your client or anybody off the street, would you consider your financial advisor the investment guy or the financial planner? Or in more fun terms, are they the fun guy who sold you an idea or the serious guy who looks at the big picture? That's financial advice in a language you can understand.
No question.
And that's our
what
story.
we do every
That's
day.
what we provide here at the office. If now's the
Absolutely.
time for you to get serious about your financial planning and investment management needs, we'd love to have the opportunity to meet with you. Our phone number, 978-531-8108. That's 978-531-8108. Or you can visit us on the web, freedmanfinancial.com. That's Freedman.
2 E's and a D.
Financial.com, and you can go to the bottom of any page on our website, put in your name, your email address, and you will get our free weekly newsletter called Planning Pointers in your inbox every Friday, 10:30 in the morning. We've been mailing it and creating it on our own since March of 2009. Hard to believe it's been that long.
Hard to believe the market was so low back then, right?
No kidding. No
And
kidding.
how much it's grown.
And it has grown. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Have a wonderful time, and we'll see you again next week with more dollars and cents and financial advice in a language you can understand. Thanks a lot.
Enjoy.
During today's episode of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, your host may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.